Hey everyone, this is your favorite high cheekbone sister, Zawadi, and I know I have been off this channel for 2 weeks, but the 2 weeks meant for a good reason. Sometimes you need to rejuvenate, you have to take a break, you have to work hard and do other things. So I'm so glad to be back with all of you. The reason I'm doing this video because this whole week, people have been talking about the rice crisis. My staff have been talking about the rice crisis. Some people that I know have been talking heavily about the rice crisis in Liberia. So I decided to do some little more research than to take people's word of mouth information and just spread information on the internet or perhaps on my YouTube channel. The best thing is to ask people in Liberia. So I decided to ask about 15 people, a very little sample size, but I think it's quite sufficient to analyze and form my own opinion. So let's get started. So I talked to these 15 people and all of them said there is no such thing as rice crisis. Based on this, do I believe there's rice crisis? No. I believe there's some level of scarcity somewhere, okay, in having this fear instilled in people to increase rice prices. That's my personal belief. You can believe whatever you like to believe, but I think that if I have this fear factor, then people are going to buy anyway because the demand is high. And okay, so if I feel like there will be no more rice, then I'm going to go running out and buying more. Okay, so that could potentially be the reason, okay, in my own opinion. But logically speaking, there are a couple of factors, root cause to this so-called shortage in all of Africa. So as you guys have seen all over, there has been a report of food crisis in all of Africa. So there are a couple of reasons why this shortage is going on. A couple of reasons. One, population growth. We are increasing every day in population, and we honestly don't have the capacity at this moment to supply everyone with food. Two, climate change. If there's a change in the climate, obviously it could cause impact to our soil, impact to production, impact to just connecting people to agriculture sources. The third thing, as you guys know, is this conflict. If you have international conflict, you will have some level of scarcity, making an increase in demand, right? Because not many people are producing. There will be an increase, less production, increasing in price. And if these people don't really have money to provide for themselves, it becomes very scary. So these three root causes are the reason we are continuing to have food crisis. So if you know these already as the primary root causes for food shortages, then if anything does happen in Liberia in terms of even rice, your immediate action or immediate thought wouldn't be, oh my god, there is a rice shortage and so there is a crisis. What the problem is, there is already a shortage, therefore there is a food crisis. Okay, so rice is no exception. Now if you want to be afraid, then you are going to have somebody going to put the prices up so you can go and run and go buy because it's a high commodity for you, a country like Liberia. That is exactly what is happening. So if we look at this issue on a larger level, we need to think about some of the consequences that food shortage is going to bring. Whether it's rice today or it's gari or whatever it is, we already have a crisis. So what are some of the consequences? We're going to have an increase in hunger. People are going to continue to be hungry because there is no food. The other consequence that we could possibly see is an increase in prices, okay, as it is reflected currently in Liberia and Liberia's rice crisis, as you can see, shortage, I would say. You can see the prices has increased, okay? Prices across rice has increased. The third thing it's going to do now is going to increase what? Competition, okay, across other commodities. So if rice is expensive, now people might go to, let's say, substitute gari or go to substitute other starches or going to, so then those prices themselves will increase. The next consequence is going to bring is a reduction in export, because now people are not going to export more rice or even more product because they themselves have some level of scarcity. Okay, so we have to think about these consequences. But before we think about consequences, we have to go back to the root cause of some of these problems, okay, or this problem specifically. Now, what are the solutions specifically? If we've already identified the root cause, we talk about the consequences, we ought to think about solution. My Liberian people, let me say this very clearly. You have the land, okay? So some of you used to go on the farm, plant and grow things and sell. These days, however, we've become very reluctant, very comfortable, and not going back to the soil. We need to go back to agriculture. We need to go back to planting, okay? That's the first thing we need to go and do as a country. So every problem always have some type of solution. In my opinion, the following solutions will help heavily reduce our food shortage. One, we need to allocate land and give to people who are really interested in farming. In this way, we can empower more farmers, provide them with the tools and support to help farm and have food within our own country. Number two, this leads back to number one, which is, like I said, providing land for farmers. Government needs to have agriculture policies that actually addresses food regulation within the country to prioritize food that is of high commodity within the country. And under the agriculture sector, we need to provide funding, we need to provide the right equipment to these farmers and empower a generation that will feed us and allow us to be secure in terms of food production. The next thing is that we need to support local farmers. Instead of buying products that are imported into the country, we need to support those who have rice, that are planting rice, that are planting food within the country. We need to go and buy from them instead of trying to look for these high-end labels from out of the country to support them. If you support your local farmers, they're going to be empowered to continue to farm. And now this is a funny one: population control. Okay, come on, Liberia does not have a big population to say, yeah, we need to reduce the number of people in the country so that too much food cannot be needed. No, we really have a very small population that we actually need to focus on feeding. So yes, population control is very important to be able to feed the number of people we have now, but this really, I don't think, is applicable to Liberia. The last but not the least is to really identify investors who are looking to help with this crisis by leasing some of our lands to them and assigning some level of percentage just to increase production. So if I'm an investor and I come into this country and I know I can get about 20 hectares of land or whatever it is, I'm able to really farm, empower people, hire people, and increase production. So leasing the land, and instead of having the land say, I know you're like, but so many land are just sitting. Some of them have cornerstones, some of them have nothing on there, but we just have these things sitting. So if we can just lease these properties for this specific purpose, we can find solutions. So I know a lot of you have a lot to say about this topic, so please leave me a comment below if you agree or disagree. Wherever it is, let us have a productive conversation. As always, solution is the key here. We're not looking to fight each other. We're not looking to say things that are just out of place. Let us find solution. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you back on this channel next time. Mwah.